Action. Oh boy. All right, here we are. Part 2 of this. This is the calculator portion of the exam that I'll review with you. Starting with these story problems. I'm going to go through these with you because you never know. Some of these could be on the exam as well. But get you the flavor for how these work as well. We haven't done something like this in quite a while. All right, so we've got the 10 subtracting from twice a number is 15. So the strategy here is to start with the number, a number, and we can take that and work this inside out. So let's see what I can do. Some of these concepts that we've already gone over in our previous classes, where we know that is means equal sign, and then we'll convert these words into an equation. So I could say a number, I always start with a number, that's my variable x, or any letter you want, is 15. So far we know that. But 10 subtracted from twice a number. So we got twice a number, and so I got a number first, x. Twice a number is 2x. But then the beginning part is saying 10 subtracted from twice a number. So that means I've got to move that over. Oh, God. Let's see. I've got to move that over. I'm going to scratch that off, and I'm going to say, right, this is 2x minus 10. This is 10 subtracted from twice a number is 15. It says, write and solve an equation that best describes the given situation. So that's what we're doing. And now we're going to solve for it. So this is 10 subtracted from twice a number is 15. And then I'll just go ahead and do it. I'm just going to add 10. And I got 2x equals 25. Divide both sides by 2. So x equals 25 divided by 2. Next, let's go down here. Let's try this one. This copy? Which one was copy? Copy. Bring it over here. I'll paste it. Okay, and here's my problem now. Here's the second one, or number 17. 5 more than 7 times the number is 8 times the number. All right, so let's see, where am I going to start here? A number here, 7 times a number. See if I get that right. I see is, I know that's equals 8 times the number. So that would be the number and 8 times the number. And this beginning part, 5 more than 7 times the number. Okay, so addition is more forgiving, but I'm still going to write this up this way. 5 more than 7 times the number would be 7x plus 5. This is 5 more. But it's okay if you had written it 5 plus 7x, because addition is commutative. Subtraction is not. So I got 7x plus 5 equals 8x. And that's our problem. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides because I want x to be positive and equal to a number. So this is 0. I'm going to bring down the 5, and that's going to be 8x minus 7x is 1x. So x equals 5. And that's my solution for that problem. Okay, this one, number 18. Now I want to read it from the blue highlighted area because my fractions didn't come out here like they're supposed to when I copy and pasted it over here. All right, but it says, culinary arts students Lauren, Troy, and Shane decided to bake a huge birthday cake. They need 6 pounds of flour to bake the cake. Troy brought 2.5 pounds of flour, and Lauren brought 1 2/5 pounds of flour. How much flour should Shane bring so they have enough flour? All right, so in this case here, they need 6, and Lauren and Troy brought some flour. So I'm going to subtract the amount they brought. So let's see, it said they need 6 pounds, so I'm going to subtract 2.5 from 6. So this is 6 minus 2 1/2. Okay, so I'll do that one first. So let's see, I could say, what could I say? I could say, change this to an improper fraction. So it would be 6 minus 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5 over 2. And this would make it 6 over 1. Get my denominators to be the same, so it would be 2 over 2. So then for this portion here, I know I've got 2 is my denominator, and then 2 times 6 is 12 minus 5. And that's 7 over 2. Okay, that's from Troy's amount. So then I've got to subtract 7/2 minus the amount Lauren brought. And where is she? Lauren brought 1 2/5 pounds. So I got 7/2, and this is 1 2/5. Okay, so I'm going to change this into a mixed number as well. I mean, an improper fraction. Okay, so that's going to be 7 over 2 minus 5, 6, 7 over 5. 5, 6, 7 over 5. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to get my denominators to be the same. So in this one I got 2 and 5. So 2 I'm going to multiply by 5, top and bottom. And the 5 I'm going to multiply by 2, top and bottom. All right, so that gives me a denominator of 10. And then I've got 5 times 7 is 35, minus 7 times 2 is 14. And now I'm going to subtract this away. And don't forget, your calculator is helping you do this as well. So that'll make it a lot faster. I'm still doing it manually because I can't show you the calculator. I don't even want to. All right, so I'll put the 35 up here and subtract it away. So I got 21 over 10. Can you simplify that? No. So this would be your answer. Okay, and that's what Troy has to bring. Well, and notice these are all in mixed numbers, so change that to a mixed number and you'll be okay. So 10 into 21, again, your calculator is doing this for you. This will go in 2 times. That gives me 20, subtract, bring down the 1, and it looks like I'm done. So this is going to read 2 and 1 over 10. That's what Shane has to bring. Okay, that's how you do that problem. Next up is about 3 sisters. Let's see. All right, 3 little sisters sitting on the fence. One fell off. All right, no, that's a nursery rhyme. Let's see, how about 3 sisters, Lena, Maura, and Liz, decide to share mowing their lawn. Lena mowed 1/3. Oh, again, I got to read it down here. Lena mowed 1/3 of the lawn, and Maura mowed 2/5 of the lawn. How much of the lawn did Liz mow? All right, so we've got what? 3 sisters. Lena mowed 1/3 of the lawn. So the lawn is like one lawn. 1. And then from there, I'm going to subtract 1 over 3. I can do this one at a time, and I will. So I've got Lena mowed 1/3 of the lawn, and Maura mowed 2/5 of the lawn. How much of the lawn did Liz mow? So I'm going to subtract this 1/3 and 2/5 from the 1. All right, what do I get? I've got to make this 3 over 3. So my denominators are the same. That makes it 3 here. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 1. And what have I got? 2/3. Now I've got 2/3, but I've got to subtract the 2/5, that Mora mode, subtracted by 2/5. And that'll be how much? That Liz mode, the leftover. All right, and on here, again, I've got this problem here, and I've got to get my denominators the same. So I'm making my denominators mowing. I'm going to multiply this side by 5/5. And the right fraction, I'm going to multiply by 3/3. Okay, bringing that over, I see I've got 15 for a denominator. And then I've got 5 times 2 is 10, minus 2 times 3, which is 6. 10 minus 6 equals 4/15. And that is how much Liz mowed. And that's it. But remember, the key in this part is they don't tell you explicitly. We've got to know it is one lawn that they mowed, and Lena mowed 1/3 of it. Remember, they're not telling you explicitly. Okay. Okay, this problem is number 20. And again, I'm going to read it down here in the blue highlighted area over here. And it says, a recipe for 5 pies call for 2.5 cups of flour. Does that sound right? A recipe for 5 pies call for 2.5 cups of flour. How many pies can you make with 4 cups of flour? All right, so let's see. A recipe for 5 pies calls for 2.5 cups of flour. How many pies can you make with 4 cups? Interesting. So this sounds like a proportion problem, because you've got 2.5 cups of flour for 5 pies. And they want to know how many pies you can make, that's the X, with 4 cups of flour. All right, so this is my problem. I'm going to make this a fraction, an improper fraction, and that would make it 5/2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so that would be 5/2x when I multiply. I'm cross-multiplying, and that's going to equal 5 times 4, which is 20. Okay, remember this. I've got a fraction in front of the variable. I got to get the x by itself. So what are we going to do? We're going to use the reciprocal. I'm going to multiply this left side by 2/5 and this right side by 2/5. I'll put the 20 over the 1 if you like. All right, we know the multiplication of reciprocals always equals 1. So that gives me x equals, and here I'm going to simplify. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 20 4 times. So that's going to give me 4 times 2 is 8/1, which equals 8. So x equals 8. So how many pies can you make with 4 cups? Looks like 8. That's my answer, which makes a lot of sense there if you think about it. Next up. All right, number 21. A recipe calls for 2 loaves of banana nut bread. A recipe for 2 loaves of banana nut bread calls for 4 2/3 cups of flour. How many loaves can you make with 14 cups of flour? All right, there is our, proportion. All right, and how am I gonna do this? I got a recipe for 2 loaves of banana bread. So I got 2 loaves of banana bread. Calls for 4 2/3 cups of flour. 4 2/3 cups of flour. How many loaves can you make with 14 cups of flour? So I'm going to be equal. The denominator is the cups of flour, so this is going to be 14 over here. And then I'm going to solve for how many loaves of banana nut bread that I can make. All right, we'll cross multiply again. So again, this is 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14 thirds times x. Okay, 14 thirds x equals 2 times 14 here is 28. And again, we're doing the reciprocal. I'm going to multiply this side by 3 over 14, and I'll multiply this side by 3 over 14, and that's over 1. Okay, with the aid of your calculator, you'll have that x equals 14 goes into 14 once, 14 into 28 twice. So you've got 2 times 3 is 6 over 1, which equals 6. So what was it? How many loaves can you make? We can make 6 loaves with 14 cups of flour. All right, excellent. Ratios, you remember ratios. Write the ratio 56 to 42 in simplest form. That's number 22. Okay, so that means 56. I got to write it in simplest form, so I have to write it in fraction form. 56 to 42. And then we'll simplify that. Half of 56. Or what do I know here? What number goes into 56 and 42? I think 7 does. Goes into both of them. 56 divided by 7 is 8. 42 divided by 7 is 6. Keep simplifying. Half of 8 is 4. And half of 6 is 3. 4 thirds is the ratio in simplest form. All right, find the rate 36 feet in 5 seconds. Find the rate 36 feet in 5 seconds. So we've got to take, this is number 23. If I'm finding the rate 36 feet in 5 seconds. All right, what's the rate? I'm going to take 5 and divide it into 36. And again, let your calculator do the work for you. I've got 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, I've got 7 and 1/5, or 7.2. 7.2 feet for every 1 second. Okay, that's the kind of rate they're looking for. Find the unit price. $4.95 for 15 ounces. So what they mean by the unit price is how many for 1 ounce. How much money for 1 ounce? If you've got $4.95 for every 15 ounces. Okay, take your 15 and divide it into $4.95. And what do you get? $4.95 divided by 15, and I get 0.33 cents per ounce. I guess I could write it that way. Okay. I don't know why I say that. No one's going to answer me. Which is a better buy? 12 hot dogs for $3.94? Uh-oh. Timeout. Okay, my battery is going out. That would be a bummer. A real drag. All right, which is a better buy? 12 hot dogs for $3.94 or 18 hot dogs for $5.95? Division, right? So this is number 25. Let me scroll this up there. I think you're okay to do that, though. That would be $3.94 for 12 hot dogs. And the next one is 18 dogs for $5.95. So it's $5.95 for 18. Which is the better buy? So let's try it. 3.95. Oh, 94 divided. Whoop. Having a little mechanical problem here. Divided by 12. That's 0.32. 8.328. And then the 5.95 divided by 18. And that's 0.330. So which is the better buy? The $3.94 for the 12. Barely. I mean, it is like no issue kind of a thing. All right, people. What's next? Suppose 13 out of 25, this is number 26. Suppose, let me write it here so you know where we're at. Suppose 13 out of 25 students who are enrolled in a MATH074 class passed the class. What fraction of the students passed the class? Well, if suppose 13 out of 25 students who are enrolled in a MATH074 class passed the class, what fraction of the students passed the class would be 13 out of 25. Number 27. Suppose 13 out of 25 students who are enrolled in a MATH074 class passed the class. What fraction of the students did not pass the class? Okay, so if 13 passed out of 25, you've got 25, and you're going to subtract the 13 that passed. And that's 12. And that means 12 did not pass. And what fraction is that? That would make it 12 out of 25. $28. Suppose the local market sells 6 cans of Campbell's soup for $9.25. Find the unit price per soup can. All right, again, that's division. $9.25. You know, that's always the cost per can. That's how we think of this, cost per can. You know, like we have miles per hour or miles per gallon. Or when we type, we look for words per minute. Okay? Think of it in those terms. So this is cost per can. So $9.25 for 6 cans. And what's the unit price? I'm just going to divide the 6 into the $9.25. Or $9.25 divided by 6. And that comes to $1.54. 1.5416 or blah, blah, blah. Doesn't say to round it, though, does it? Well, when you're talking about money, you round it to the nearest hundredths place, where the pennies are. $1.54 normally. That would be okay. You'll figure it out. All right, suppose the market, we got that. Number 29, suppose the local market sells 5 pairs of socks for $5.86. Find the unit price. Same thing. We've got $5.86 for 5 pairs of socks. And we want to know what it costs for 1 pair of socks. So that's 0.586 divided by 5. And I get $1.17. 117 if I round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay. And that's up to number 29. Now we're up to number 30, solving the proportions. All right, and I will say, you know how to do these. We did a couple already earlier, but I want to take this letter B. This is number 30, B. Okay, and that is x over 6 equals this 3 1/3 over 5. Okay, and what I got to do is I got to change that to an improper fraction because I want to cross multiply. When I multiply, I have to change it to an improper fraction. It's the rule. I'll start with the easy part. 5 times x is 5x equals 6 times, and this is going to be 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10 over 3. And I'm multiplying this. All right, so then this right side here is going to be 3 goes into 3 once and 3 goes into 6 twice. Now this is over 1, so that's not a big deal. What do I have left? 2 times 10 is 20. So 5x equals 20. Divide both sides by 5. And x equals 4. Quite fascinating. You can always plug in to see if you're correct. Okay, that was proportion, number 30. All right, let's try some more of these application problems. And I've got number 31, A, B, C, D, E. 31A. A baseball player gets 8 hits in the first 18 games of the season. If he continues at the same rate, how many hits will he get in 45 games? And okay, this is a proportion problem because he's getting 8 hits in the first 18 games. Okay, and this, if he continues at the same rate, how many will he get in 45 games? So the 18 games is in the denominator, so the 45 games is in the denominator on the other side. And we're solving for the x. And I've got 8 times 45 equals 18x. All right, and now I'm going to divide both sides by 18. And I can do some simplifying now. I know these cancel out. I got my x equals, so let's see. I know this bottom here, at 18 I could rewrite to be 9 times 2. Okay, then 9 goes into 9 once, and 9 goes into 45 5 times. And then I could say 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So what's left here? 4 times 5 is 20. So x equals 20. And then let's take a look at that. I have 8 over 18 equals 20 over 45. Okay, I want to check if my answer is correct. So I am going to cross multiply here. I'm going to say, with the help of your calculator, multiply 8 times 45. That gives me 360. equals 18 times 20. And I can see that 18 times 20 is 360. So that means these two are proportioned correctly. They're equal to each other. So I know this 20 is correct. Okay, letter 31. What was that? B. The scale on a map indicates that 1 inch on the map corresponds to an actual distance of 85 miles. Two cities are 3.5 inches apart on the map. What is the actual distance between the two cities? Okay. Okay, here's our setup then. I got 1 inch on the map. 1 inch on the map corresponds to an actual distance of 85 miles. And then two cities are 3.5 inches apart. What is the actual distance between the two cities? And that's what we're solving for, this x. Okay, cross multiply. X times 1 is x equals 85 times 3.5 is 297.5. Exactly. So that's all you need to do on that one. No division. Okay, how about letter C? This is 31C. Of every 117 parts manufactured by a certain machine, 3 will be defective. All right, so I'm going to write this up as 117 over 3 defective. How many parts were manufactured by the machine if 8 defective parts were found? So where do I put the 8? I put it with the 3 because it matches the defective parts. Then I can solve for the number of parts that were manufactured. 3 times x is 3x equals what? 117 times 8. That's 936. Okay, get x by itself, so I'll divide both sides by 3. So x equals, what was that, 312. Okay, I like that one. That was C. How about D? 31D. While cooking lentils, the ratio of lentils to water is 2 to 5 cups. If you have 3 cups of lentils, how many cups of water will you need? All proportions, right? 2 to 5. That's the lentils to water. Lentils is the 2. And if you have 3 cups of lentils, how many cups of water will you need? So that's going to be 3 over x. And I'll cross multiply again. 2 times x is 2x equals 5 times 3 is 15. X equals 15 divided by 2 because I'm dividing both sides by 2. And x equals 15 over 2, which is the same as 7.5. (31E). A truck travels 120 miles on 6 gallons of gas. How many gallons of gas will it take to drive 200 miles if the truck travels at the same rate? Try it out. So a truck travels 120 miles on 6 gallons of gas. And then how many gallons of gas will it take to drive 200 miles? So the 200 goes in the numerator, and I'll solve for x. So again, much the same, right? 120x equals 1200. I'll divide 120 on both sides. So what have I got? X equals, zeros cancel out. 120 divided by 12 is 10. So X equals 10 gallons of gas. That's 31E. All right, now check out this chart here. Fill in the blanks with the equivalent percent, decimal, or fraction. All right, this is with a calculator now, so this is nice. So here I've got a percent, I've got a decimal. I don't think I can copy that over here. And this is a fraction. Excuse my writing. I'm getting tired, and soon I'll be making mistakes. All right, what else can we do here? Let me just fill this in. I don't know. Try it. So here I've got 3/8. I got 1.5 in the decimal column. This is 72%. This one here is 2 3/4. This one is 0.05. It looks like I need one more here. Let's do it like so. Get that in the, oh, getting the shakes. Okay, this one is 0.1%. Okay, so I hope you can bear with me here. This is a decimal here, 0.1%. All right, we got to change it now. So let's see. I got a fraction here, so the decimal would be 3 divided by 8 on your calculator. 3 divided by 8. That's 0.375. Remember what I said in class, which you probably don't. When you get everything to decimals, then it's easy to go to percent, and it's easy to go to fractions. You're right when you're right in the middle there. All right, like this one. The next one. Oh wait, let's do the percentage. The decimal is 0.375, so you can multiply the 0.375 times 100, or just move that decimal over 2 places. And the percentage is 37.5%. Oh, now I got a decimal, so I'll go over here. What's the percentage? Take the 1.5 and multiply it by 100. Or move the decimal over 2, and that would give you 150. Either way. And then what's the fraction? Well, for the decimal 1.5, that means it is 1. I want this as a fraction. It's 1 and 0.5. So the 1 stays, and I take the 0.5 and put it over 10. And so 5 over 10 is like 1/2. So it's going to be 1 1/2. Okie doke. 72% in decimal would be 0.72, because now I'm dividing that by 100, or moving the decimal over 2 to the left. The decimal is really here. So you move it over 2 to the left, because it is a percent, changing it to a decimal. The fraction is going to be 72 over 100. And then you got to simplify that. 72 divided by 100 is 18 over 25. Okay, that's what that simplifies to be. All right. I got a 2 3/4 here fraction. In decimal form, that would be 2.75. Take the 3 and divide it by 4 on your calculator, but that's a common fraction. We should know that that's 0.75, and the 2 is the whole part of the number. All right, and then what's the percentage here? Multiply 2.75 times 100, and you get 275%. All right, moving on to the decimal. 0.05, if I change that to a percent, I move it over 2, and I've got 5%. And then if I write this as a fraction, this is going to be 5 over 100. because that 5 is in the hundredths column. And when I simplify 5 over 100, 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 100 20 times. And finally, this 0.1%, if I change it to a decimal, I've got to move this decimal over 2 to the left. So that's I'll throw them in here. So this is going to be 0.001, the decimal number. And then as a fraction, I'm going to put this 1 over, what place value column is this 1 in? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So my denominator is 1,000. All right, and that's the chart. Pretty nice. Okay, this next get up and go is 33A. And this is saying, what is 12% of 24? But it's saying set up a proportion and solve. All right, so if we want to continue with proportions, then I know my setup is 2 fractions with the equal sign in between. And I know I'm going to have a denominator of 100 in one of these 2 fractions. And I've said it many times, I put my 100 on the right side, just because that's just what I picked. And I keep it there for each problem when I'm doing proportions of this nature. So I know the number that goes above, the 100 is the percentage number in the problem. And this is 12%. So 12% equals 12 over 100. The number I put in the denominator on the other side is the number that follows the word of. And the number that follows the word of is 24. So that means I'm solving for x, which is on top of the 24. So how about it? I got 100 times x is 100x equals 24 times 12. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 100. And this, I'm going to say, is going to be, 10 times 10. That's 100. And then I'll try it out, see what I get. So I know with 10 and 12, I know that 2 goes into both of these numbers. So 2 goes into 10 5 times, and 2 goes into 12 6 times. And then what else can I do? I could say 2 goes into 10 here 5 times, and 2 goes into 24 12 times here. And it looks like that's all I can do between these numbers here. So I got 5 times 5, and up top 12 times 6. So 12 times 6 is 72 over 5 times 5 is 25. And is that what I'm looking for an answer? That's the question. That's a good question. So what is this? The first one, A. And, well, I'll figure out what 72 divided by 25 is. 72 divided by 25 equals 72 divided by 25. 2.88. Okay. Remember, with a calculator should be a little bit faster. Of course, I'm doing it manually. B, 36% of what number is 55.8? All right, again, proportion, equal sign. 100, bottom right. And it says 36% of what number? So 36 is going above the 100. And then of what number, that means that's going to be the x in the denominator on the other side. And the 55.8 goes here. All right, so I've got 100 times 55.8, which is 55 80 equals 36x times, okay, then I'm going to divide both sides by 36. Divided by 36. So x equals 155. What percent of 200 is 102? Whoa. Equal 100. Now it's saying what percent? Well, that's, I don't have a number with a percentage sign, so that's what they're looking for. What percent? That's what x is. What percent of 200? 200 is in the denominator, follows the word of, and 102 is up top. What percent of 200 is 102? And that is my problem. So I've got 100 times 102 equals 200x. 200 cross multiplying is all I'm doing. And this one, as you can see, I'm not doing the actual multiplication because I have an idea there when I divide this by 200 and this by 200, on this side especially, that I'm going to get x equals, let's see, this is, these zeros cancel out, so I got 1 over 2. So this is 1 over 2, I'm sorry, this is 102 divided by 2, which is 51. X equals 51. All right? Use your calculator, though. Let's look at D. This is 33D. 33. A family spends $450 every month on food. If the family spends 18% of their income on food, how much is their monthly income? Oh, one of these problems. Okay. So it's going to be 18%. I could write this 18%, and that's 0.18, of what? Equals 450. A family spends $450 every month on food. If the family spends 18% of their income on food, how much is their monthly income? All right, so it's 18% of what? Equals 450. So this is merely 0.18 times x equals 450. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 0.18. Okay, this is the harder problem of them all. So x equals 450. Oh, didn't have that. 450 divided by 0.18. And that's 2,500. That's their monthly income. 18% is what you're looking for. Set up a proportion and solve. I don't think that works on the proportion. I'm going to try it. I'll be right back. Well, there's the setup on it. So I guess you can do it this way. So we're setting up the proportion, and then we've got 18% of their income is on food, so it's 18 over 100. And then the family spends $450 every month on food. How much will their monthly income be? So if I set it up this way, this is going to be of their income. You know, there's the word of in this problem. In the word of their income. And their income would be the denominator on the other side because it follows the word of. So yes, you could do it. So again, you get the same thing. when you cross multiply and then divide. All right, how about the E? A student reader was making $6.50 per hour. After getting a raise, she makes $6.80 per hour. What is the percent increase in pay? Okay, well, we did this, and it was like he was getting $6.50, and then they got a rate increase up to $6.80. What's the percent increase? So we subtract $6.80 minus $6.50, and we get 0.30. So the difference between these two numbers is 30 cents, and you take the 30 cents and divide it by the original starting amount, which is $6.50. And then with your calculator, when you do this, you get a number like 0.046. So the percent increase, then, if I round it to the nearest tenth of a percent, is going to be 4.6%. Okay, that's how that works. That's what that is. Move it over to. Okay. Next problem. Shoes that usually sell for $25 are on sale for $20. What is the percent discount? What is the percent discount? So how do I do this? Let's see. The shoes that usually sell for $25 are on sale for $20. What is the percent discount? So let's see. I'm going to go from 25, and now they sell for 20. So this one's easy. I got 25 minus 20 is 5, and I'm going to divide it by the 25, the original amount. I know it's a decrease, and we want to know what that percent decrease is. So on your calculator, 5 divided by 25 is 0.2, but we have to change that to a percent, so I'm going to move this over 2 places. So that's going to be 20% off. 20% off. And that checks out. A student, suppose you paid $19.80 in sales tax for the purchase of a stereo system. If the sales tax rate is 5%, how much did the stereo system cost, including the sales tax? All right, so let's see. We've got something that is $19.80 in sales tax. So I could take 5%, 0.05 of what? No, 0.05 of what equals 1980. And that'll tell me what the original price is. So 0.05 times x is 0.05x. That equals 19.80. All right, divide both sides by 0.05. 0.05. So x equals, and what does that come to? 19.880 divided by 0.05. So it looks like x equals 396. And 18% of that is the 7128. Wait a minute, is that right? Timeout. That is correct. because when you add the 1980 back in, it gives you a total of 415.80. So that is correct. 5% of what equals 1980, and add it back in. That's the total amount that they paid, including the sales tax. Letter H. 33H. A real estate agent gets a commission of 3% of the price of each house that she sells. If she sold a house for $289,500, what was her commission? So then we want to say, what is 3% of $289,500? All right, so let's set it up as a proportion. So here I have a percent number here, so it's 3 over 100. And then what's going to be in the denominator is if she sold the house for $289. Now this doesn't follow the word of, but $289 is the price of the house, and that would match the 100 side here, $289,500, because we want to know what is 3% of that. All right, so I've got X here. So that's 100 times X is 100X. That equals 3 times this 289,500. 289,500 times 3. And again, I'm doing this with method to my madness because I see zeros here. So I'm going to divide both sides by 100, and I'll divide this one only by 100. That big number. So these cross, I got X equals, my 2 zeros cross out here. Okay, so then I've got left this 2895 times 3 over 1. So I'm gonna plug those numbers in. 2895 times 3. So that gives me $8,685. That was her commission, getting 3% of the $289,500. So you could say, what is 3% of $289,500? What is 3%? 0.03 times $289,500. And punch this into your calculator, see if you come up with the same thing. 0.03 times 289,500 is 86.85. Think about that in terms of commission, or percentage of an amount that you're going to be entitled to if you work on commission. All right, let's see. Now this is I. Tom spends $30 a week on gas. If the price goes up about 4%, what would be the total amount Tom spends on gas per week? All right, so he spends $30 a week on gas. If the gas price goes up 4%, what would be the total amount Tom spends on gas per week? So they're saying, what is 4% of $30? Okay, he spends 30, and then if it went up 4%, so I'm going to take the 30, multiply it by 0.04. That's your 4%. Okay, and what does that come to? 30 times 0.04 is $1.20. So the question is, how much does Tom, what would be the total amount Tom spends on gas per week? Well, you're going to add the 120 to the 30. 30, 120, 30, 120. Went up 4%. So now he spends $31.20 on the gas. All right. Now this next part, number 34. The prices paid for the cameras sold yesterday at Acme Cameras are listed below. Find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. All right, you know what to do with these. You're going to add up all these numbers here. The 210, the 139, 122, 145, all the way. Add those numbers up and divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Divide it by 10. Okay? and that will give you your mean. The median is derived by putting these numbers in order from smallest to largest, and then you got to count the number in the middle. And remember, if it's an odd number of numbers, there's one number in the middle. If it's an even number of numbers, you're going to take two numbers in the middle, add them together, and divide them by 2. And that'll get you your median. The mode is the number that occurs most often. Okay, the number that occurs most often. And then the range, finally, is the largest number minus the smallest number. Largest minus the smallest. And then you're good with all 4 of those categories. Then you've got another one, find the mean, median, mode, and range of the given numbers here in fraction form. And again, you can plug these in, basically, figure out the decimals, numbers, what the decimal equivalent is, and then do the same thing for finding the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. This is with calculator, so give that a whirl there as well. But change the fractional parts to decimals, and you'll have better success that way. Can you convert from one unit of measure to another? Yes, we can. And that's our conversion problems we're getting into here. We're almost to the end, sad to say. Let's see here. What have I got? So let's see. I know that my formula is that Fahrenheit equals 1.8 Celsius plus 32. And this is the only formula I need. And what is it saying? 104 degrees Fahrenheit equals how many Celsius? So I'm going to do 2 of these. So I got 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be 104 equals, I'm replacing the 104 for the F Fahrenheit. Okie doke. And then I'm going to put back 1.8 C plus 32. And now I'm going to solve for C. So what do? I subtract 32, both sides. And I've got 2, 10 take away 3 is 7. And that's going to equal 1.8 C. To get the C by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by the 1.8. And what does that come to? 72 divided by 1.8 gives me 40. So C equals 40. Okay? Then I'm going to do the other way, where the problem is 52 degrees Celsius equals how much in Fahrenheit? So that same equation I'm going to use, that Fahrenheit equals 1.8 Celsius plus 32. And now we're converting it to Fahrenheit. So I got to solve for F. So the 52 is going to take the place of the C. So F equals 1.8 times 52 plus 32. All right, now just figure out what this right side is. 1.8 times 52 plus 32. So it looks like the Fahrenheit equivalent is 125.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Moving on to 37. We've got a bunch of conversions here. 1 1/4 tons equals how many pounds? Well, let's see. I've got 1 1/4. Do I want to keep that? How about I change that to 1.25? 1 1/4 tons equals how many pounds? Okay, what do I know? I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. All right, the t's cancel out. And then I've got 1.25 times 2,000. And so it equals 2,500 pounds. 1.25 tons. 2,500 pounds. Let's see, can I do these? I don't have the conversion sheet. Let's try doing some of these. I got 25 milligrams. That equals how many grams? And remember, I need King Henry, who doesn't usually drink the chocolate milk. That makes it easy for me to do the conversion. So I got 25 milligrams, which is over here, and I'm changing it to grams. So I've got to go to grams, and that's one of my units. So I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3. So 25 milligrams equals 1, 2, 3, 0.025 grams. Going from milligrams to grams. Okay. What else can I do here? Millimeters to centimeters. So I think you've got this. We did real well on that, I thought. I'll do one more. I've got 36 millimeters, and that equals how many centimeters? All right, looking at my King Henry up here, I start with millimeters again, and I got to go to centimeters. So I'm just going over 1 to the left. So 36, pull it out. My decimal's really here, and I'm going to move it 1 to the left. So this is going to be 3.6 centimeters. 36 millimeters equals 3.6 centimeters. Okay. And I think I'm getting too tired here. All right, I'm going to stop, and we'll continue this mañana.